Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of Very Sky Rita Lee. I'm going to try to make this short and simple. So, hopefully we don't have Higgins watching, He likes to correct me all the time. So, for some of you wondering what I was doing, well, that's because I was just picking popcorn kernels out of my teeth. So, and then I decided to watch a video after my bath, which was the Fanny video. Love Fanny, by the way. She's awesome. If you haven't checked it out, check out my channel, my whatchamacallit channel, my featured channels on my channel page on my YouTube channel, and it will tell you all about number 4 being Fanny Urban Homesteader. She's awesome. I mean, I told Chloe was looking tonight. She's like, "Oh my God, I need to get some canning pots and canning jars." Well, first of all, when you go out and spend a lot of money canning pots and canning jars, that's why I was telling Chloe, that you might want to look up Fanny Urban Homesteader. Maybe get some advice from her and ask literally what type of canning pot she uses. I've never tried a canning, so I remember my mom doing it when she was younger for spaghetti and other stuff. I wasn't really in the thing. I remember once, I don't remember what she was doing. I think it was she was making strawberry jam or something. The thing exploded onto the popcorn ceiling. Yeah, I think my stepdad, Roy, cleared the popcorn ceiling off like 10 years later, and stuff. But I would love to get into canning myself. It might just benefit you to can. There's some books out there that might be good. I got to ask Fanny about that. But as you all know, Zoe's not around tonight, so this will be a short video. I just finished watching 3 videos. 4, I think it was, so I'm scanning. And I ate popcorn. And now I'm trying to clean my bowl here, so when I get hungry again later, I can have my ramen bowl ready to go. You see, as a prepper, I want to tell you there's some stuff as a prepper you want to do, okay? I'll tell you what a prepper is supposed to do, okay? So, for one, if you're a prepper, first thing you want to do as a prepper is always earmark certain bowls and certain pots for your prepping needs. For me, this was connected to a friend of ours. She gave us this really good cooking mixer. It had like a mixing attachment. It had all these attachments that went with the mixer. It had the bowl. It had a mixing thing. It had it literally came with so many attachments. This device was like so big. It had like your cutting knife and everything, but took so much space for our friend. And since my husband was a cook, she always enjoyed his steaks. This bowl eventually, when my husband died, became my official. I need to use it for ramen, so I earmarked this, as Chloe knows, as my bowl. You don't use this for anything but for me to eat. So this is my. Sometimes people can say, "Well, can you eat the whole thing of oatmeal?" I don't know if oatmeal expands in your stomach or not, but I wouldn't want to eat an entire bowl of oatmeal this size. The popcorn I can because it's just made of air. And it doesn't cost that much to make popcorn anyways. So, but anyways, my ramen pot's ready to go. And then last night I had macaroni. Oh my God, that was tasty last night. I couldn't believe how biggy I was. And then, as you know, I buy bags of popcorn like this. As Fanny said, you can use it as, I guess he's still hungry. I gave him a carrot several hours ago. So, remember what I did about the old coffee? Remember? I told you I'm living on 2-year-old coffee. Coffee doesn't expire, so that's another prepper tool you want to know. Is you'll get your caffeine. Sometimes you'll sit there and say, "Oh, this has a little less flavor." It's because of, but not limited. Yes, that's a bunny, by the way. Huh? See, he's hungry. He's a hungry little wabbit. Little Wabbit is hungry. Little Wabbit Jack. All right, this is all you get for right now, Evo, because we have to. This year's blackberry catch on wild blackberries. You usually feed him every year. Wild blackberries. There is not enough wild blackberries. So as you can see, he's been good. He's saying, "Mama, feed me. I hunger, Mama. I hunger." There you go. See, pop it in there. And now he's freaking scarfing down what he gets. You know, he's supposed to give him like 1/8 cup, but usually he won't touch hay. Put hay in it, he'll just poop all over the hay and won't eat it. So that's why you basically turn around and you cut up carrots and you cut up little snacks. No, I don't give them. They do love strawberries like crazy, but you know, strawberries are really expensive. So you know, as long as they're not preserved, you know, you just buy fresh strawberries, they'll eat it. They like fresh everything. I saw this this video on Instagram, right? The lady says, "I leave for 2 minutes to use the restroom, and look what my fur babies do. 2 rabbits get into the grocery bags and pull out the grapes." Smart bunnies, I tell you. Smart bunnies. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to email Fanny. I'm going to ask Fanny about water purification, because, you know, we all need to know about water purification. She's an awesome person. Maybe she can make a video on that. The other thing I'd like to ask Fanny about, she already talked about the power things for powering. She gave me tips on that last night. Another thing I want to say is, as a community, we got to pull together at times. So that's why I'm here tonight, you know, for a few minutes. You know, and so like I said, when it comes to you preppers, you got to make sure you have your certain tools. Now, those dishes in the sink, those are Chloe's. So technically, they're not mine. Maybe the coffee cup sitting in there, but everything else is Chloe. Chloe does a lot of dishes, you see. Last night, I cleaned up everything except for the macaroni bowl, which I will get to in the strainer. Otherwise, my cook pot is here. Clean, ready to go. All I got to do, see, this is my Coleman cook pot, a prepper's tool. And then what I'll do is the hand's been warped over the last 30 years. I bought this with my 1 year for holidays, you know, for my birthday. I bought this, and you know, Chloe says, "Oh, don't get sentimental." It is sentimentality, because think of it. This pot is the pot that I use everything. My husband would leave this. Me and my husband would leave this clean for everything. He would sit there and he had this rule, right? Don't touch the wife's pot. Yeah. One day his friend was visiting and he said, "Don't touch the wife's pot." And he was very polite, you know. He's like, "Well, you know, if the wife smokes pot, then I should touch it too." And he's like, "That pot, that's been in their family for like 35 years. She bought it when she was like 12, 11. So I bought it after my birthday with some birthday money. And I'm telling you, it came with a little bag that broke. But that pot has served me so much. You can't even find them anywhere. Those are high quality, made in America pots, made aluminum pots. And I'm telling you, that pot has been with me for a long time, you know. And Chloe has been yelled at many times over, to talk to, I should say. I don't yell. When I do yell, it's usually something like, you know, "Leave me the F alone," but, you know, and do your damn chores, you know. But she was talking to me about tonight. She's like, "Oh, you gonna watch movies?" Yeah. But I decided to take a few minutes to get online to tell you about, but not limited, about, you know, so a couple things I want to talk about with Fanny was water purification. A lot of people ask me about the Brita water filter system. And to me, it's like, you know, I don't have the answers to it, you know, because a lot of people are asking me about if it would benefit them for Brita water filter system over buying bottled water, because they're thinking bottled water 12-pack or 24-pack's like $40. Now, I know as well as I do that I'm not paying $40 for 24 waters. I'm sorry. I can have Chloe go down to the hardware store or a local grocery store and see if there's a 24-pack for like $8. You know, and if they're in stock, pick them up there, because frankly, you'll want your water that way instead of, but not limited to, you know. So apparently, this was 2 hours ago. Let me click this link. Fanny sent me something, so let me see. So Higgins is like, oh, this is Fanny's not Fanny. Higgins is like, this is you shouldn't be doing this. You're wrong about the diesel thing. Well, Fanny just emailed me something, so it says this. Let's read it. Natural news: the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and Southeast regions of the United States. Chloe's in there looking at me funny. Facing an impending diesel collapse as supplies reach the lowest level for the time. There's a 25-day supply of the industrial fuel in storage. Right. Because conditions are rapidly devolving and market economics are charging significantly each day, Mansfield is moving to Alert 4 to address market vitality. All right. Alert level 4. Okay. Mansfield is also moving to Southeast to code red, requesting 72-hour notice for deliveries when possible to ensure fuel and freight can be secured at economical levels. Energy traders have been warned about this since at least the past spring. So now they've moved to red alert, which means red alert is, well, shall I finish reading this? Because this is news that Fanny sent me in. Fanny handles the canning side of things, and maybe she could talk to us about what canning pots we need and what, And for some of you out there wondering, I want to show you my buddy. This is Buddy Guy, Bud Mooper Pooper. So let's continue talking. Before there's my son here. There's my child Moppy. Hey Mop, how you doing? Huh? You're so cute. So apparently Aunt Fanny says you got some treats coming on Tuesday. I think she said she's ordered you some treats. I don't know what they are. I know you like your T-bones, and I got to order some from Amazon. But in the meantime, you got to enjoy what you have. Just enjoy life to the fullest, right? Look at him. So Mommy Chloe told me, what you call Mommy Chloe, she's not your Mommy Chloe. You only have one mom in this life, doggy mommy, and I'm your human mommy. And your human daddy's no longer with us. So human mommy says you only have one mommy. So Chloe cannot sit there and pamper you because this isn't Chloe's service dog. This is Rita's service dog. So I know you want down. Okay, let me fill your water bowl up because Chloe's like, Moppy's water bowl up. So, red alert. Well, that's an interesting conundrum, isn't it, peeps? So, I got my pot ready to go. There you go, Mom. All right, go ahead and drink up. As you know, I pamper him, or I try to. So I want to thank Fanny again for the coffee pot. As you all know, I'm trying to, my therapist assistant trying to dig in her garage for a coffee pot. So I ended up with 2 or 3 coffee pots. Well, I got like advocates, and I got like 4 advocates, and a therapist all looking for a coffee pot. So to me, I'm like, don't bother. But they're like, why you need your coffee? So okay. So So it says here, okay, hold on. Mansfield currently maintains a fleet of tankers that delivers refined fuel products to more than 8,000 customers across the country. The company remains a critical component of the fuel supply chain, without which truckers would not be able to obtain the fuel they need to keep the country's economy moving. Now, that's funny because they're talking about truckers, but what about the trains? I mean, Fanny's always putting in her hashtags, train strike, a rail strike. So in many areas of the East Coast, diesel prices are 30 to 80 cents higher than the posted market average because supply is tight. Company further announced, at times, carriers have to visit multiple terminals to find any and all supply, which delays deliveries and strains the local trucking capacity. Is the United States on the verge of total collapse? When they say 25-day supply, just to be clear, this means at any given time, should diesel fuel production stop entirely, it has the potential to completely run out in less than 1 month's time. Yeah, but currently they're already running out because they've most of it's all out. So right now, from my own intel, there's like 15 days left of diesel. because the reserves are, Surely more diesel is being produced all the time, which means from the day that 25 supply remains in place, a production deficit's occurring, however, which appears to be the case, that then the 25 supply becomes 24 at some point, followed by 23, and so on. Things are not looking good. To put simply, the last time things were this bad was 2008, same year as the biggest financial collapse in recent history. Are we about to revisit by another market freefall? We are. Keep in mind that the 4-week rolling average of distillate supplies, that being a proxy figure, indicate of demand for diesel is now at the highest season since 07. Means the time when diesel supplies are at their lowest, demand is at its highest. A very terrible situation. Massive underinvestment in the nation's fuel-making capacity due to green energy policies is one factor in this, as are refinery closures and refinery fires, strong domestic demand, and other disruptive factors that are creating the perfect storm for the dissolution of America as we know it. Say, throw in Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the continent-wide energy crisis in Europe, and we have a very dark winter in our future, apart from some kind of miracle. You see, the more we're using 4 million barrels of diesel a day, we don't have 25 days currently. Is anything else noting how all sorts of things are coordinating to collapse in a few weeks? Wrote an observant commentator how this almost seems scripted to occur right on schedule. This is because the 7-year tribulation is about to begin, wrote another. The Mississippi River is drying up, noted another about the regional drought conditions that made part of America's second largest waterway impassable by barges. There is no diesel for trucks to relieve the barges either. Want a front row now seat unveiled in the global economy? Listen or go to this. For other sources for this article is, and right here. So let's just look at this. See, this will be interesting. Get our free newsletter. Okay, I'll take the free newsletter. Why not? Please confirm your thing. Go back to this thing. Okay, cool. So. This is really interesting. Implement a Holocaust. Wow, hospitals are. Wow. Interesting news, I tell you. Let's go here so I can actually So if you see that there, this is why you have to prep. Now I'm going to look over the other sources, but you see this is the problem, Yeah. All right, so apparently East Coast diesel fuels. Okay, yeah, there it is. U.S. distillates. So apparently trucking is going to be all diesel trucks are on high alert right now. Okay, that makes sense. But this was 3 days ago. So this report was 3 days ago. 3 days ago. Let's see. This report came in March. So this is a March. So this is March's news. And then this just came out recently, So apparently, here's a new one. Rising U.S. nitrogen exports to Europe creates a domestic scarcity for American farmers. You see, this is the real news here, people. I talked about it in my previous video where farmers can't maintain their crops because they can't get the fertilizer. And the fertilizer is in the millions of dollars for each farm because they have to farm it and they can't use non-GMOs. So, some people say, oh, well, if they do, then, thing is we're basically, we're having a food shortage. We are literally having a food shortage coming up. More and more young people are dying because of the coronavirus vaccine. You see, this is real news that no one's talking about. Right, here's one that I'd love to have Fanny talk about: bug out bags, because I saw her video recently where she's like, why talk about bug out bags, We're going to see a transition regret crisis. Therapists on rush to affirm kids' gender confusion. Oh, God, come on. I mean, I have a team of moderators. We all agree that a kid at 4 years old can't confirm what their gender is. So think about it. Now I want to look at other things. So diesel fuel is literally running on code red. Yeah. So apparently this news here is it says the Pentagon lusts after nuclear war, says it will nuke Russia if Putin doesn't pull out of Ukraine. Interesting. So apparently the United States wants to basically obliterate the country. Here's one. Inflated. If red states want protection from collapse, they will have to build alternative economies. If there is an economy left, you see? This is some really interesting news that Fanny gave me today. So thank you, Fanny, again. Fanny Urban Homesteader emailed me with that info. And let me tell you, it is very interesting that she sent me that because it tells you exactly what's going on. So we have code red in the oil fields. And, but my intel already is saying that, we're below the 25-day mark. We don't have enough reserves because if, say, for example, the train, like Fanny and I have been talking, because this is another reason why you need to prep, okay? Because if you don't prep and you sit there and think all is gravy in the world, now I don't like belittling any of you. You guys are right. What if you turn around and you turn around and you preppers turn around and you know what's coming and you survive properly, and yet the non-preppers turn around and find out there's a train strike, right? Train strike happens. Then what? You sit there and say, oh, but it's a train strike. We'll manage. Really? You'll manage when there's no diesel fuel? I mean, look, if there is a 25-day reserve, which is already lower than the 25-day reserve, the thing that Fanny and I are trying to say is there's not enough diesel. And the East Coast is running out of gasoline. They're not even talking about the gasoline shortage. I mean, when and if they do it, right? I bet you this is what's going to happen, right? Win, lose, or draw, Republicans or Democrats are half and half, whatever House and Senate, whatever, votes, and it gets whatever happens, turns around, say the Democrats control it, right? The Democrats win. Okay, they win, and they're like, oh, we better prepare for civil war. And then they turn around and say, oh, by the way, there's a gasoline and diesel shortage. Now they basically said, we won the House and Senate, we're just going to let panic ensue. Then they could turn around and declare martial law because, everyone's panicking for the gas pumps. Or they could turn around and say, well, we're going to leave the gasoline shortage alone. Oh, by the way, Americans, the trains went on strike. We don't have enough diesel, so we will produce what we can for the stores, right? Now, picture what happens then if they leak that info out. People would be rushing to their stores to grab everything. People would be online clicking buy. And by the time you turn around to buy something, you won't be able to buy food. You'll be sitting there going, for example, I could sit there and I could text Fanny. Fanny has got a great prepping channel. I could be like, because I'm the one that. Here's how I work it. How I see my team. Okay, my team Higgins. He likes to fact check everything. He's like semi. I don't know. Funny. Yeah, funny. Sometimes misguided, but he does fact checks. Okay. You got Pee Wee, who's on her own course. Too bad, because I love Pee Wee dearly, and Dan. Then you got Zoe, who was writing a book, right? Now, she's not here tonight, thank God, because I love Zoe dearly, too. Hold on 1 second, because I got something to share with you that's scary. Okay, thank you for waiting, people. So let me just tell you, okay, I have to moisturize my hands too, and you after using the wash hands, and you use toilet, wash hands, and then put moisturizer. My hands usually don't get dry, but for some reason they're dry. Okay. Now Zoe's not here. I love Zoe. Higgins ain't here. I love Higgins, but let me just tell you what's going to happen. Okay, for the collapse of the United States. Okay, it could be worse than we thought. So, when I joked with Higgins, I was telling him, buy me a gift card, we know there's a collapse coming. So you guys shouldn't be giving any money. Now, if some of you out there see my prepping channel and you say Rita's got some good information and you want to donate, feel free to. There's um, my email addresses is right there under my About Me page. You can actually donate if you wish, gift cards from Amazon. Much appreciative. You don't have to either, but I'm just saying that some of these preppers out there, though, go to other prepping channels, they donate hundreds of dollars to these other preppers. And the other preppers are living in your misery and fear. What I'm trying to tell you is just prep for the life just in case, because frankly, you don't know what's going to happen. And frankly, you know, joking with Higgins, if Higgins has some extra cash laying around, the best bet is he should just go and buy a second freezer, move it downstairs, and have extra meat. That's something I do. I mean, this freezer you see is the main freezer. I got a secondary freezer in my office, and there's a third freezer in Chloe's room that we don't talk about. And they're pretty much full with like other things that Pee Wee suggests. Like half our noodles are in there, our noodles, in Ziploc bags, in the freezer. We're freezing our noodles because that's what she said to do, and other things. But the point is, we're not talking about the other freezers, but those are the things that you truly need to invest in. Now, I don't know what the market is right now at freezers. Back then, 2 years ago, they were sold out. Everyone was grabbing freezers, stockpiling it. Now people are trying to peddle the freezers because they don't want them anymore due to the fact that they think the pandemic's over and the government's going to just keep giving them checks, right? Food stamps, etc. But it ain't going to get any easier, okay? So one of the things I'm going to do for you guys here tonight is I'm going to check my my news feed for a second. I need to check on something. If there's any news on a couple topics, we already have diesel news, right? Okay, so apparently currently the current news is rail workers are still saying no until this was so it says here, when will the rail basically go on strike? Okay. Oh, great. This is in the United Kingdom. I'm sorry to say, but I don't need a United Kingdom news article on it. I need news on on here. Yeah. So, for example, so it's everything here. There's no news. They're talking 3 days ago. There was rail strikes. So the rail strike news isn't there right now. There's a big thing where you got rail strikes and you got diesel shortage and gasoline shortage. Now, I'm not going to go into details, but my intel is telling us already that we are lower than 25 days. I mean, literally, there's people saying that 25 days and then you run out. No, we're running out secretly because, frankly, no one's telling you that there's not enough ships bringing in. I mean, look, the math states already that we're using 4.1 million barrels of diesel a day and 8.2 million barrels of gasoline a day. Not to mention that, people like Higgins and people in the Northeast, they got to worry about rolling brownouts. I mean, Higgins alone lives in a coal thing, and if no one's maintaining anything, Higgins might be right that all power will be shut down. So I'm trying to prep you for power outages. And this is why I keep telling you all to make sure to get your world band radio, your portable TV, your DVD player, and or your police scanner. Your scanner will be your best friend in a panic. If you can program it before something happens, You can program it to the power company, and you can listen into your main power grid, which is out here. We have one, and they'll tell you how long it's going to take. And if the websites are down and you have no power, and you see, if the power goes out, okay, let's just say that if there's rolling brownouts everywhere, that means unless you have a smartphone and 5G, which everyone's going to be tying up the 5G towers, a lot of people use 5G for checking email and sending email and other things, making phone calls. But if there is a network clog on phones, your phones are going to be pretty well useless. That's why, you always keep backups of backups of backups. Like me, I keep this. Why do I keep this? Because this is basic. You can basically recharge this on probably a battery pack more so than those batteries. These phones will last a lot longer in a power situation with rolling blackouts. The reason, now you can buy yourself those power bricks, and solar batteries to charge your phone, but eventually the solar batteries are going to have to be recharged. Now, say you have one that runs on sun and you live in an apartment, you're not going to be able to charge it. So unless you open your window, put your little panel out there and be like, and then you can keep looking at it. It might charge like 20% a day, right? Or 30% or even 40%, right? So from sun up to sun down, if the sun's hitting your window until the sun stops, that's when you charge it. And then hope like hell you can recharge your battery banks that way. So you basically line your window sills up with these panels and have it charging. And then when it's fully charged 3 or 4 days later, you can recharge your phone. But if you're not using your phone, whereas everyone's going to be sitting there using their phone all the time thinking, oh yeah, the towers are going to be fine. Well, one of the things that I think is funny about this argument, okay, is the towers will be fine. Okay, let's just say it this way, okay? Well, let's just say hypothetically the towers will be fine, right? Wrong. You see, what happens if T-Mobile, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, Verizon, Cricket, Boost, all those, let's just say the main phone carriers, the carrier towers, because I don't want to name them all, there's too many. It runs out a backup juice. Now, let's just say they have solar, but the solar can't maintain the towers because everyone's using their internet trying to get news and stuff because they don't think of a police scanner as a worthwhile investment, or they're that they don't think about charging it. So they sit there and be like, hey, my phone's dead. Well, what were you doing? Well, I was online for the first 12 hours and then my phone went dead. What am I doing? Charge this up, leave it off unless Chloe needs to take it somewhere. Why do you think I say? I mean, you could pay $15 a month. Now, mind you, you probably won't do this, but let me give you an advice. You pay $15 a month, $20 for your stinking phone, have unlimited minutes, and keep it always off unless you need it. And then when something does happen, you're like, yeah, Zoe, how are you doing, Zoe? Yeah, okay, I'll keep you informed. Yeah. Turn off, and you're done. Family sits there and sends you a text. You check it 12 hours later and be like, yo, sorry, I was off. Whereas everyone, they'll be sitting there like the new generation going, power's out, man. How long? Oh, the electric company can't tell us. Oh, okay. Hey, do you see that weirdo Rita? She's got a flip phone. Oh, yeah, some people like that. Meanwhile, some people take their 3G, 4G hotspot, line it up their computer and be like, but then what happens when your laptop battery goes, and you have very limited power reserves, right? So if I buy power banks with Fanny's help out of my own cash, I want to make sure I can charge this, but I don't buy a phone like $200 and pay $75 a month for a hotspot. Hotspot would not be worthwhile because if people have their 5G hotspots available, which it could work. Fortunately, what happens if the power is out, right? A lot of places that power's out. then you can't get any juice for your phone towers. Oh well, the phone towers. What if there's a diesel shortage, which there is, and they can't get diesel? They can't get gas. Hold on, I'm not done here. They can't get LP, liquid propane, or liquid pressure gas, LP gas, liquid pressure gas. They can't get any fuel sources. And yet, how are they going to let the Gen Zers, who are the lazy shitting Gen, and the Gen Zers, who would sell their own country up the river for whatever rights that they want, and yet they think that Americans would sacrifice their resources that they have to resource properly for, but not limited, for them to be glued to their fucking phone. Sorry, it won't work. Sorry to say, they're not going to sit there and cater to any lazy phone dwelling couch hermit that sits on their couch all day texting, or sitting on the shitter texting. They're going to be looking at it as, telling people that, if there's a martial law situation, that you use your phone only for an emergency. You see, some people like Fanny, she's basically mindset to prep as long as possible till shit hits fan, right? I, as you know, do the best I can. But thing is, I've been here for so damn long, I'm already prepped here in the bunker. So, as long as I'm here, I can provide my own needs, right? I mean, look, I took a shower / bath. Bath was probably like this much water in the tub. I don't fill the tub up. I fill it really less spots, just enough to get my whole body, scrubbed down. Then I drain the tub and I take a 2-minute shower so I can literally soap up again to get off the residue and wash my hair, and then I'm done. You see, I conserve more water than most people for that purpose because I'm water conservation. What if we have a water shortage? What then? And they say you can have a bath once every 10 days. Then what? And that means you're limited to your baths, but you're also limited to your drinking water. This is why I'm telling you guys you need to prep as an emergency. I mean, look, Higgins made a statement the other day about rolling brownouts in his area because he's coal. The trucks can't deliver coal. There is no electricity. If the trucks can't deliver propane, there is no electricity or natural gas. Apparently, natural gas comes in tanks. I always thought natural gas came from pipe gas lines, but apparently there's a truck that delivers the gas, and they keep filling the tanks up. Apparently, they don't just get natural gas out of from what I understand, the ground. Now, if someone wants to teach me how we get natural gas, it's fine, but they're saying natural gas is coming from Europe, and we're going to have a natural gas shortage, which means and a diesel shortage, which means we're not only going to have a natural gas shortage for the Midwest's natural gas plants or around the United States, we're going to also have a diesel shortage, which means a lot of people that are using diesel fuel, which my sister one time used diesel for a heat source in her cabin in Alaska, we'll have to switch over to wood. Now, what if you can't get the wood sources to heat and cook? Then what? You're out of wood, you're out of natural gas. That leaves you with paying exuberant prices at the Ace Hardware for paraffin, also known as kerosene, and you put it in your lamps. So like clean, low sulfur lamp oil. I mean, think of where we're going. This is why you need to prep, because you guys, you think the government's just going to bail you out, and they're not. And this is why I teach people, you don't need a smartphone. I mean, look, take and break down your smartphone for you Gen Zers, your Gen Xers, your baby boomers, your forgotten gen, all these people, a lot of them back then, the old fuddy-duddies didn't want a phone. They thought a phone was it was for the rich, and but you know what? Eventually phones got cheaper and cheaper. Now you don't see many home phones available because if power went down somewhere, your home phone's dead. But if your cell phone towers go down, That means that there was not enough diesel fuel to power them or natural gas to keep the generators going. Now, you could say, well, I don't understand the LP thing. That's the other problem. When Coleman and others gas up those Coleman fuels, Coleman white gas is is like a cleaner burning thing of kerosene, Coleman fuel, aka white gas, and unleaded, all fueled together into a special blend that works in their stoves. But that's $20 a gallon. You're going to be paying $20 for lantern stoves. A lot of people are picking up butane and propane. Now, propane burns hot, so basically your little tank might last 4 dinners before you got to pull out the little can, which is $10, and be like. So you got to ask yourself, you know, when it comes to your cooking needs, what you need. But then again, you got to ask yourself, are you willing to basically pay $10 a little can for a pound can? Or are you going to basically walk down the street one day with a cooler, a little box you keep hidden, and you're like, oh, hey, how are you, manager? Oh, I'm good. And next thing you know, manager's at the gas station. You're like, fill me up, Fred. And he looks over and you got a couple 5-gallon tanks. And the manager says, what are you doing with those? You can't store them in your storage shed and you can't store them in your apartment. Power goes out. I want to cook. So this tank here is going to be my cooking fuel. Won't happen. So you got to basically do the best possible thing. You got to make sure that you have, for example, if you're going to cook, right? First thing you do with propane is this, or propane, open a window. Second is you want to make sure you go to the hardware store and get like a 2-foot by 2-foot board to put on the 4 burners, right? And the board sits above. So because your stove isn't used with power outage, you take those boards, and because your hood van ain't working, I got a window right there next to the kitchen that looks out of looks up to the stairs. So all I have to do is open the window, put my stove on there, and be like. Now, a lot of the management, they want you to die and go hungry, so they don't have to. So they can rent it to someone else. But thing is when you look at the big breaking down of society, you got to ask yourself, that's why I was saying, I love Zoe dearly and I don't want to belittle her. But if she doesn't realize, as Fanny's prediction's true, which possibly it is, what if she writes this book, hypothetically, and the collapse happens after she gets it published? How many people's going to buy it? How many people's going to buy it? How many people's going to read it? How many people is going to be interested in paying $20 or $30 for a new book, hardbound? Think about it. The entire country goes down to collapse, right? I mean, you want to know my opinion? I let everyone do what they want. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, bad Zoe, right? Because that's not my job. My job is to get you guys prepped. But I wouldn't have invested in a costume for Halloween. I wouldn't have invested in booze, because we're getting to the point where everything's going to break down to the point of no return. Think of it. We got diesel fuel shortage. We have a gasoline shortage. We have supply chain shortages. We have food, basically, shortages. You have exacerbated pricing for your food. How far does that go until everything goes down the toilet and goes? Think about it. Literally, there's no way. Dad thinks that the government will pull a feather out of their hat and fix everything, and we won't have a diesel or gasoline shortage. It won't happen. You're full of shit. Look, did anyone read that report that I clicked on, Fanny? 7-year tribulation. They're talking about a 7-year tribulation. Did anyone pick up on that? I'm a minister of God. Literally. Let's look at that part again, because I just opened it, right? This came out yesterday, right? Right here it says, let's see. Throw in Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the continent-wide energy crisis in Europe. Energy crisis in Europe. Think about it. It's not just, I tried to tell Higgins, this isn't just a nationwide thing where he's going to go and do what he wants, and be like, oh, we're going to think about it. This is worse than it's worse. I mean, Fanny and I are looking at it from a, extended family point of view, saying, look, this is big. Now pay attention. We have a very dark winter in our future, apart from some kind of miracle. Yeah, see, some kind of miracle. There you go. I missed that word. Some kind of miracle. It's going to take an act of God to basically get this back on track. And God probably turned around and basically is doing this. Literally, no offense, as God's prophet. He's sitting there going, well, sorry, Higgins, rolling blackouts for you on his computer. He's playing Sim Earth, and he's playing Sim Earth within Sim City within. He's like, rolling blackouts for Higgins, hurricanes and snowstorms and snowstorms and tornadoes for Dinky, Corey, and Fanny. Earthquakes, fires, and flash floods in California. Is anyone else noting how all sorts of things are coordinating to collapse in a few weeks? Question mark. Wrote an observant commentary about this. Almost seems scripted to occur right on schedule. This is because the 7-year tribulation is about to begin, wrote another. So, shall we go and actually talk to you about this? Mississippi's river is drying up, noted another regional drought. There's also no diesel for trucks to relieve the barges or to move the barges with no diesel. So, I want to Google this. Let's see, because I want to see this, right? So they're all, 7-year tribulation. See? No, let's see about news. Okay, so all these people are proposing right now that we're in a 7-year tribulation. So Jesus said only he knows, his Father knows the time, but all these people, but they're saying there's a tribulation. So if you want to take that with a grain of salt or take it as a truth or the truth nugget, then what's that mean? It means 7 years of famine, which could be but not limited to earthquakes, flash floods, fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, typhoons. I mean, let me just go down the list real quick, okay? So bear with me a second. I have to pull up my little list real quick, okay? Okay. Is this where we're looking for? Yes. All right. So, all right, here we go. Here's my list. You got to prep in the 7-year tribulation, severe weather, lightning storms, and flash floods. You got to prep for cybersecurity. You got to prep for winter weather. Winter weather. Yeah. Think about it. I mean, literally, what is severe weather? Tornadoes, floods, winter weather, thunders and lightning, hurricanes, flash floods, typhoons, willy willies, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes. You know, I mean, all of these are telling you the prep just in case. I mean, do you sit there and say, oh, well, I can't because, it doesn't affect me? Let me tell you what happened a long time ago being a prepper. Being a prepper. Okay. As a prepper, when I was in life skills, special ed, blah, 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 I had to ride the short bus. We always made fun of Higgins about the short bus, but I got to ride the short bus, okay? And Zoe's like, oh, I bet you didn't have much homework. You got out of line for certain teachers. They send you so much homework and basically you'd have to do it an entire week. That's why I basically got everything done, glued to my TV, and told everyone to fuck off. That was how I was. But one day we had a school assignment. The assignment was worse than you could think. You could sit there and say, well, what was the assignment? We had to take a book that we got for school. This very thick book. And the book was how to prep for emergencies. And we had to go through our home. And we had to go through everything. So I'd go into the kitchen. My kitchen was about the half the size of my apartment, this current apartment. I'd go in there. My mom would be like, what are you looking for? We had cases and stuff. And I'm checking off a list and making a note. My mom said, what is this? Homework. She said, what are you studying now? Prepping. She said, what's prepping? Case of a disaster. So she looks it over and she said, well, my stepdad, Roy, wanted to throw it in the trash. He said the only thing we got to worry about is earthquakes. I've lived in Washington State most of my life. I've seen one earthquake that brought down the tiles in the kingdom when I was in the kingdom with my brother Michael. Drift told his wife to get out of there. Game was postponed. We were on our way home, and I was like, what happened? Are we going to happen? Then a little later, when I was over in Australia, earthquake hit. It wasn't a big one, but it was felt. Mom said, the foundation was like the entire mobile home was like, and she was freaked out. She had to have someone check the stove before she could use it. That was about it. Right? But this is the stuff that you have to look into. Washington State has various epicenters. Now, then you had other issues, which was when you prep, what else do you prep for, right? Well, in the book it said tsunamis. Yeah, if you're on the coastal areas. Now, I didn't know what a tsunami was, so I was like, oh, what's a tsunami? And they said, oh, it's a coastal area thing. A tsunami is nothing because unless you're out on the water like Zoe knows, like where we live currently, there will not be, oh, you know what happened? Someone took my Ziploc bags and someone else took my bags of my Ziploc bags, and another person took my ear cleaner. So I don't know where my ear cleaner went. So not only is my Ziploc bags missing, but my ear cleaners are missing. So someone took the ear cleaners too, which usually is on the desk here. So Ziploc bags are moved, and now my ear cleaners are missing. You see, now I'm actually picking up a pattern here. So someone came into my home without me knowing anything and stole my ear cleaners. Because my ear cleaners are usually in an area where I keep them on hand. And because my ear cleaner is missing, yeah, you see? So Chloe not only moved the stuff, she did other things. So, not only is my ear cleaners missing, but my my ear cleaners missing. What's next? My batteries. I mean, literally, they just don't vanish like a fart in the wind. I mean, that's the weirdest thing in the world. Usually we keep this place clean. Chloe, great. So now my ear cleaners are missing. So probably when I was sleeping, Chloe took him and gave him to a neighbor or something, just because Chloe's like that. So not only is my thing missing, but now my ear cleaners are missing. Yeah, you see? Now I'm starting to wonder if Chloe's taking things, putting it in her room to destroy me. If she can't do it one way, she'll do it another. Literally. Because ear cleaners, yeah, I had like 500. Here they are. So if my ear cleaners there, is anything in here? Yeah, so, alright, so, anyways, where were we? Besides hygiene, right? I always want to keep stuff like this on hand just in case. Only buy like 500. Cheap, they'll last you a long time. So, apparently during the winter months, my ear leaks a lot more yellow wax than anything, so I try to clean it as much as possible. But you just love how some of them just give a warning for speeding. Yeah. Stuff you gotta do. Now, you guys sit there and you can say, well, how bad's the collapse gonna be? Bad. You see, if there is a big collapse, like everyone in this world, there's people out there that's prepping like me. They know the collapse is coming. There's other people that think they are Republican and they don't need to worry about that. The government will just hand them some money and they'll be happy. But what if there's no money to give? Then what do, huh? What about the elderly? They rely on their monthly checks every month. All of a sudden, there is no monthly checks. Then what? Then what? How's that happen? You sit there and say, oh, well, it's the world. We just live in it, right? I, for one, think you need to prep for all contingencies. Yeah. And that is what I would do. Prep for all contingencies. Now, for some of you out there, Chloe hasn't even touched that ham I made her. She'll let it go bad. And this is why I don't want to basically give her any of my food. You see, she doesn't give a damn. She's sitting in her room claiming that she wants a shower. And yet she demanded a shower, for example. And I said, well, I'm going to go and have a bath after coffee, which I did. Fortunately, I didn't know I had to go online to YouTube. But the point being is, that, we had to discuss this. And with Fanny giving me an update, thank God I found it. 7-year tribulation. What's that look like? A lot of deaths. I mean, a lot of deaths. So a lot of people out there turn around and they think nothing's going to happen, right? They don't. They think Uncle Sam or God's going to provide. Well, God turns around and says, you had your chance to prep, you didn't do it, you die. You had your chance to prep, you die. You had your chance to prep, you die. And the ones that are surviving, these preppers like, oh yeah, we're going to survive. And he turns around and says, you guys are all greedy using YouTube, you die. Next thing you know, population gets narrowed down. And then God says, I mean, literally, some of these news articles are interesting. God wants to, not God. U.S. wants to use nuclear weapons on Russia. What did Russia do to us, huh? Russia hasn't done anything. Russia doesn't deserve to be nuked, But you get these people. They're like, oh, we're gonna nuke Russia because we have to, No, we don't. We don't need to take away other people's lives, But the tribulation could be nukes, could be a lot coming down the pipe. So you have to trust God. But there's a lot of preppers out there that think maybe let's just break this down from a biblical point of view, okay? I should save this for Sunday, but what the hell? I'm still on here, so let's continue. What if God's up above, right? Some people don't believe it, and God's sitting there, and he says, I'm going to bring my son down soon. Thought it'd be earlier, but he's watching and waiting and watching and waiting. He says, look, most of these religious people want to basically tell abortion they're wrong. You can't have abortion. You were raped. You can't be raped. Back in the Old Testament, if a guy raped a woman, you either take the woman and make them their wife, and if they didn't want that, you stoned the guy. That was it. Nowadays, you basically let the woman suffer with a rapist baby, and the rapist gets away with it. You see? So maybe God's sitting there saying, you corporate jugheads are greedy. I mean, look, have you ever realized in the time frame that, the old Roman days, Romans had slaves. And you could sit there and say, oh, we're slaves, and slavery and stuff. But, then, people tried to ban slavery with Abraham Lincoln. And everyone followed suit because they said slavery is wrong. Every man should be free, right? But think of the cost of living back then. If you had a home and you worked your fields, you had everything you needed, and it would have been passed down from generation to generation. Read your Old Testament, you're new. But nowadays, everyone wants a house. But think of the example of the house builders. You can say, what's a house builder? It's a builder that builds houses from scratch. And they build tracts and tracts and tracts of houses because that's their job. They're in the construction field of building houses. And yet, the prices are too high. So they sit for years not being bought, right? And by the time they get it fully finished, right? And, you got a guy goes in there like once or twice a week or, make sure no one's squatting in them. And, because someone might want to buy one, right? Brand new house, right? Or they're building them custom and building it to your specification on this tract of land. Either or. But let's just say they're building massive houses by designs, like they're not prefabricated, but each house is built, right? So they build these houses for people to buy it. And then there's a housing bubble. And then brand new houses that are fully done with lawns and everything. They got to go in the housing association, the one that has the housing association. They turn around and they got to maintain the lawns, but there's no gas. Then they got to maintain, if they do have the gas, the lawns. Then they got to maintain inside so no animals get into the new homes so they can sell them. So then they have like maybe a mini real estate lady or guy comes in and says, oh, these are new houses, we haven't moved them in or, no one's buying. So you got all these builders building houses. They get paid no matter what, right? But what if there's no materials because they can't move their diesel trucks to diesel or fuel to bring in the materials to build it? They come to a grinding halt. But then you have millions of houses built that no one's moving into. You see where I'm going? Then, the resources are being sucked up. I mean, think of it. Around the world, we're the only country that just has jobs where people still keep building houses. And when they don't sell, they just sit there. Eventually, say 20 years later, they're still sitting there. They might need to bulldoze it, bring in a demolition team, and then clean it all up, and then build a new, leave the land as is until someone buys the house and then says, oh, I want my own design. Okay. Or, for example, this is why the tribulation's coming. You say, how does it affect for the housing market? Pay attention, because it's a big, long sermon. Then you have other people that sit there and buy, quote, unquote, other items. You got people using credit cards and getting more credit cards and getting more credit cards and buying, but not limited to groceries. Federal Reserve turns around and says, nope, we're not going to have that because you can't buy groceries on credit, right? So they keep raising the interest rate. So interest rates on houses and the interest rates on creditors, that have credit cards, they're going to go through the roof. So everything you need, you're going to have to finance. So what is happening? Now, I don't know about you, or I know Pee Wee and Dan are, but I don't know about Fanny. I know Zoe is, but and I think Higgins might be, but I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to the biblical portion of the 7 year tribulation, right? You got to think about it. Fanny might have enough food for 2 years, but she's going to have to sit there and scrounge for like the rest of us. Will she survive? Yeah. If she says to me, Rita, we're going to have to pull our resources, and find a way. Well, some of us preppers, like, Zoe, me, and Fanny, we have to unify to make sure we survive. We could, but it's going to be hard because there's a lot of people out there who want to kill others for what they have. You're going to have to make tough decisions. What are you going to take with you? What are you leaving behind? But you say, well, how does this affect the 7-year tribulation? Simple. God could be up above in his little control tower, looking down. He could be sitting there royally pissed off. He could be looking at Fanny and me and Zoe and saying, girls, you are my blessed daughters. You see what's happening. It's not about Republican or Democrat. You know what it is? It's greed. Look at the oil pricing. They want to sit there and say, oil's going up again, the fossil fuels. They're forcing everyone to go on a new green deal because it's more money for them. Look, Elon can say 7 years from now, oh, that battery is going to cost you $42,000, or you can pay $95,000 and get a new car. People aren't going to buy it. The entire electrical car grid is going to be down the shitter. And if the Republicans get into the House and Senate, they should gut the whole green energy thing, because this is what's killing us. And they should open up fracking and drilling. I mean, people say, oh, you support fracking? Think about it. I mean, think of the 7-year pandemic, okay? We brought this upon ourselves. You can say, but we don't deserve it. Bullshit. I'll tell you why we brought it upon ourselves. And you can tell me if Fanny joins or Higgins joins or Pee Wee joins. We brought it upon ourselves. You know why? Because our country is so fucking cheap that they'll go and fucking mass produce everything that we produce, oil, gas, whatever, right? Send it over for a massive, massive price hike in Europe. And then make a deal with a European country or a South American country that are struggling for cheaper fuel. And then we go and say, okay, and then we refine it. Then we put it into our market, and they're still making a killing. So anyway, let's continue. We're going to rip off everyone. Do you want that? So God's sitting there probably above in his little box going, it's time for us to punish the non-believers and the corporate greedy assholes. Yeah. And those are the ones that are probably going to get punished because God's pissed. Think of it. You got people that the rich are getting richer by basically crippling farmers from able to basically bring in their $1 million on fertilizer. What's that tell you? Fertilizer gone. Fertilizer gone. Farmers can't do it. We got a drought. They were talking about one of the rivers will dry up, and then the kings would walk across the river. Maybe they're talking about the Mississippi, the mighty Mississippi, because I have no clue. But they're talking about 7-year tribulation. This could be the 7-year tribulation because of the greed. You can say, well, I don't see how that implies greedy. Well, yeah, corporate greed. As long as oil's in diesel's in high demand, your groceries are going to be up because it has to take money to deliver those groceries, plain and simple. And yet, some of you people don't want to think. You just want to sit there and, ask yourself questions like, why? I'll tell you why. Because it's greed. They don't think about anything but themselves. That's the truth. Think about it. Eventually, you won't even be able to replace your TV, your video games. Nothing. You'll be struggling like everyone else, middle class, poor, middle upper class, all struggling. The upper class is going to find out money is going to be useless. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, and I think God's tired of it. God's tired of seeing his country, his world he created go down the toilet. For what? Greed? Greed? Back in the day, Americans could live comfortably without not needing everything. Why do you think the federal government? Here's something that you got to ask yourself. I don't know Fanny, if she watches this later, but I want to say if Fanny's watching this later, right? Let me just tell you a secret. All right. Has anyone realized that the federal government is literally trying to cripple people in cabins, one-room trapper cabins, one-room shacks, whatever. You buy a piece of land that you want out in the middle of the country or in a suburb, and you say, oh, I want to buy this piece of land. They said, okay, you buy the land. But before you buy the land, you got to look at the rules. And the rules say you cannot use a tiny home. You have to build a 3,000 square foot home or a 5,000 or whatever. That's why people are staying away from buying in the suburbs. There's too many rules and regulations. Buy something out in the middle of nowhere. What if you want a small, tiny home? Have you thought about it that way? Then what? Average Americans can live with a basic stove, a bed. I mean, think of the Old West. The movies highlight that. Or a cowboy or cowgirl rides on a horse, gets in, goes to the saloon, says, I'd like to rent a room. And then he says, okay, 2 bits. And then they're like, I'd like a bottle of whiskey, 1 bit. And then I'd like a bath, 1 bit. So you take the whiskey and you have your bath. Then later you go down to the pub after you're fully clean and you sit there. Maybe you want to play cards. Maybe you want to get a poke. Maybe you want whatever, right? Now I'm talking from, seeing those things. And you just sit there and you look at the whole picture. Why did they carry cards? A lot of people, cowboys carried cards because they played them. They didn't have board games. They didn't have Monopoly, Candyland. They didn't have video game system. They didn't have phones. Back in the day, you'd go to the local post office and mail a letter on your whatever cow town you're in. Paid your 1 cent and you left. Back then, you could go in and they charge you 7 to 10 cents for a steak. Or whatever. Think of it. Back in the day, Americans literally lived a lot better than today. Then credit came about, and credit destroyed this country. Credit destroyed this country. Yeah, I mean, think about it. All these people financing their groceries, knowing that they're going to let the banks collapse. Which means Higgins, Fanny, Pee-wee, Rita, Chloe, Dinky, Corey. The list goes on for moderators. They will all lose their bank accounts because when the bank collapses, they're going under because they gave too much credit. I mean, literally. People are just getting credit cards, paying their minimum, and then basically you eventually defaulting when they can't make it anymore. I mean, literally, what type of life is that? And these are mostly Democrats that sit at home Some of them living in apartments. They just don't care. They think, oh, well, you know what? I'm just going to do this because I need to survive, And they don't realize how long this goes on and how long this goes on. And then God says, look, there's too many greedy people. They're buying on credit. They're not paying it back. These corporate greedy people are forcing people to drink homogenized and, whatever milk, You can't buy, the farmers are being told you can't sell raw milk. It's against the law, because it gets too many diseases. But there's a lot of people in other countries that drink raw milk. I don't remember what it is, homogenized and, whatever it is. So they have all this stuff, right? Just make it so you can drink your milk, and yet corporate greed. Corporate greed. The government turns around, and if there's a collapse, a lot of people will die. A lot of elderly will die. A lot of everyone will die because they won't have food. They won't have money. They won't have to buy anything. They'll be evicted. The damn collapse will destroy the entire economy. And it could collapse the entire world, too. One country fails big time, the rest could fail. Everything in the let's put it this way. I love Fanny dearly, And Fanny's awesome. So, for example, Fanny and I talk about prepping, right? Has anyone ever thought the other reason the collapse could really damage the world is because the United States is a world currency for reserve currency? Yeah. Could be the yuan or the British pound, but no. Because apparently in World War II, after World War II, the currency was turned to the U.S. Reserve because we had to rebuild everything. And now we have the biggest debt in the entire world. Yeah, the world debt is us. Other countries are less than us, but, even England can't sustain itself. I mean, no one can sustain itself anymore because the cost of living is too low. Why? Because everyone's pricing everything out. I mean, literally. I mean, there's too many people in this country that think they're entitled to everything. To everything. They're entitled for a free lunch, free dinner, a free ride. And those are the ones that are crippling the country more. And then you got the other side of the coin, devil's advocate here. Got the Republicans are working hard. A lot of them are hardworking. Some of them are on the public dole because, programs there for them. But they see that if we keep giving an inch to the Democrats, soon it'll be full socialism and communism. But why do they want communism? I'll tell you why. Because they want full, total control. Think about it. They lock you down. When that doesn't work, now they're basically manufacturing a diesel fuel and gasoline crisis they're not telling you about. A food shortage crisis. We have 10 billion people in this country almost. Most of them will die because there's not enough food to go around. Each country is now fighting for their, countries can declare war on other countries because they want the resources in that country because that country might be rich in land and fertile for rice and beans and wheat and pork and whatever else. Each country, and they're going to try to engulf it. So it's not going to just be a regular World War III. It's going to be a global war because everyone's out. I mean, and, you got all these people, back in the 80s, we were taught nuclear drills, earthquake drills, prepping in books. They took it all away. They dumbed down the people. And because they dumbed down the people, look what happened. We're all suffering. We are all suffering to no end. Americans are suffering. Americans are all suffering. I worry for all of you. I worry for all of you. If you can't make a living, then you shouldn't be stealing from others or using credit cards that you can't pay to survive. That's considered theft. That is considered purely theft. You don't go and steal someone's stuff because you have to live. You either make it work for yourself from what you have or don't, and then accept defeat. I won't accept defeat. Not for me. I'm too headstrong. I'm too tired of seeing trannies think because they think they look really good that they can sit there and beg for a guy to basically take care of them. Most guys don't want a former dude. There's the chasers, but that's about it. Tranny chasers. But some of them say they don't deserve to live. All in all, you got to ask yourself, do they deserve to live? Yeah, everyone deserves to live. Question is, do you deserve to I mean, deep down, you got to ask yourself a lot of questions in your soul. Are you willing to cut corners to live? There's a story once. Higgins was telling me and Fanny, moderator Higgins, he was without money for 9 years. Now he doesn't even know how to spend money. Tells you right there, the guy's got a good head on his shoulder. And I'm telling you, from a little sister that likes to poke the badger at times, I'm proud of him. I mean, I'm literally proud of him for saying that. That's a story I could sit there and read it late to the end of days. He said that. I mean, literally told his mom he doesn't even know how to spend money because he's scared. Yeah, and you know what? Let me give you a bit of advice for this channel. I may poke the badger at times. I may, Higgins might think I rub him the wrong way, but I do it out of love. But I'm not mean at Higgins. I'm not rude to Higgins. I'm just great. So the police have to go out because a group of 6 people are causing trouble. Or the sheriff figures. So the bottom line is, look at your big picture here, okay? You got to ask yourself many questions. A lot of questions for prepping. Are you prepared? Do you have enough to get through for a year? What if there is a breakdown of food at times, right? See, some of the stuff that I love about Fanny on her channels, she talks about canning. Certain preppers have not talked about certain issues like this. For example, what happens if there's food shortages off and on? And then when food does get back and people will be running out and getting it as fast as they can. Some people will be dead already. Some people might just rob the factories that make the food. I mean, then they'd have to hire guards to protect the food to be moved from the factory to the truck to the train to the warehouse to the store. It means more jobs to protect the food because food will be a vital information. Second thing you got to ask yourself is questions about your water. See, some people say, oh, well, we're on city water, there might be a water tank. Water tank might supply the water, and the water needs the pump. So if the power's out, you can't get the water. So even Higgins said that, and I'm going to reiterate what Higgins said out of love. Then, what if you're on a reservoir? Same thing happens. Your pumps don't work. Then what? Say you have diesel fuel shortage and trains aren't running. Food shortage. Trains aren't running. Trucks can't run because there's no diesel. And then you sit there and say, oh, well, we shouldn't worry about brownouts because we're in an area with hydroelectric, coal, nuclear. Well, let's just break that down for you, all you preppers, okay? First of all, you can sit there and say there's nothing going to happen, right? Some of you guys think, oh, these Democrats think that it's okay because, there's nothing going to happen. There's no food and there's no diesel to bring in the groceries, and there's no jobs for the people running your coal power plant that Higgins has as coal. Then what? Coal power plant shuts down. They don't have coal to feed into the power plants. Well, let's break it down from a SimCity 2014 edition. Okay, my husband and I love that game. Okay, let's just break it down. Okay, you make SimCity, right? You choose your land with the biggest land, right? And you have 8 cities you can build into the biggest city, right? Each city has different, right? So say I'm building a city out in the middle of nowhere. Free land, okay? Hypothetically, there is no free land. So I get the land. And I build houses. Eventually, before you build your house, you got to go on the outskirts of your town and put in, or it's near no water source, power plant. Then you got to put your power poles all the way to your houses. And then you wait and you let your houses, year by year, collect taxes. Then you turn around. Chloe loves these types of games. Then eventually you turn around. Huh? SimCity type games. And then you turn around. I should show her that one SimCity game. She'd love to try it. Then you turn around, and once you put your power plant in, you put your housing in, right? Eventually, there's going to be a scenario where they say, code red, you don't have a city dump. So you either put in a city dump or you put in a recycling center.
I was working on a theme park for a few months on Roller Coaster Tycoon, right? Going up pretty nice, actually. It's got all these rides and pretty much as big as Cedar Point.
So anyways, back to my scenario. Then you put in a recycling plant, dump everything combined. Then you have your trucks. You eventually put in your truck bays one by one. Then the garbage is taken care of. Then eventually it pops up. You need to build a fire station. So you got to figure out your fire map and then put it on, right? But if the breakdown of society, firemen ain't working because of no diesel. Garbage trucks ain't running or recycling trucks because of no diesel. You can build a sewage treatment plant, but if the coal power plant is running, your power, and there's no one manning the coal power plant, then how is anyone going to eat when there's no power, no trucks? And then same goes if you get fossil fuels. Say you got a clean energy.
And then go back there. Right here,
So then say you put in natural gas or oil plants. Like in the original SimCity, you had coal or oil, and then 1950 you had nuclear.
I could not find the Ziploc bags. I don't remember using the last of them.
I didn't either. I saw them and then they just vanished like fart in the wind.
They didn't end up in the trash things. They ended up. This is fucked up. I gotta get the trash out.
So, anyways, back to the SimCity scenario. So you either have coal or nuclear. And then eventually get nuclear. Now in SimCity 2000, 1950, you get that. Then in like 2000, year 2000, you get microwave. Eventually, you get fusion and so forth. But if there's no technicians working on those, for example, because there's no food, then they would literally shut down not just the coal grid for power.
Damn it. You need it for the fucking thing. For the ham.
So then what happens, right? Well, picture this. If you start in a new city in Sim City and you decide you want to go with technology, right? Nuclear power, and you're running it, you're powering your city with no one that has the degree. So they make you build, you have to build a, um, a, um, a bus depot for school and a school for like intermediate, right? You go elementary, then elementary, elementary, then intermediate, then high school. And then eventually, when you get to the high school level, let's say you need to build a college and a university. So you build a college and a university.
Um,
Well, then they say you need to build
keep
train
an eye out
lines.
for the Ziploc.
I am.
Please.
And then you build,
Fucking hell. I'm just the fact that the bags went missing.
and then what happens? Then you have to have all this technology and education to run nuclear power. And eventually wind, and then eventually, so you'd have solar and everything else. But, they unlock these at certain years. So if you start at 1900, by year 2000, you have a lot of power choices. But at the same time, if there's no food,
Okay, yeah. Oh, fuck.
if there's no food, then there's no.
Oh, fuck. This will work. Clear this out.
Then then the point is there's no one working. No one working means no one's going to run the power plants. Without fuel, they're not going to drive the power plants. Without food, they're not going to be able to maintain their life to go and maintain the power plants or the sewage treatment plants or the garbage plants. So, the main thing is you need to look and you need to work hard and fast to make sure it all works perfectly for the good of the people. So, as long as you have power, as long as you have natural gas, as you have things right now, you should be prepping. Now, Fanny's doing that. I'm going to be bringing in a giant haul next month. On the 4th, I'll be ordering. And then when it comes in, I will tell you exactly what I got. And I'm going to make sure that we, and what do you prep? If you want to get mac and cheese, for example, like 52 weeks mac and cheese, do it. But then what do you do with the other 6 days? Can't live on ramen alone. You could, or beans, or rice. For an entire year, I lived on rice, beans, lentils, an occasional hot dog snag, aka sausage. And that was it. Being homeless on the streets of Australia. So that tells you, if I can prep, you can prep.
I was almost like ramen and Vienna sausages.
Yeah. Well, Australia didn't have Viennas. They had everything but Viennas. They did have sardines, but I didn't touch sardines or.
Why don't they have Viennas in Australia?
Apparently they don't like them over there for some damn reason.
Huh. I wonder if they have them. They must have them in Europe, though.
So, Vienna sausages, if you can acquire a taste for them, that's good. I don't have acquired taste, but I ain't paying $40.
I like Vienna sausages.
I'm not paying $40 for 24 cans of Vienna sausages. That'd be 1 can a day.
Dude, I got them at
for a
the
week.
dollar store for $1 a piece, dude.
Now there's no dollar store. There's a $2 store.
Dude, 99-cent only store still sells eggs at 99 cents. still the 99-cent only store. Last year I went there when I was in Arizona. That's like the best dollar store in the world to even fucking go to. They're all over California. Oh, your cousin-in-law state has them too. The 99-cent only store. They're very popular by the Hispanic community. Hispanics, they love that store. See why too. Everything's 99 cents.
So I'm looking for movies right now to watch for tonight. That's what I was searching for, because I don't mind a good movie from time to time, and I saw a couple good ones last night. I didn't tell you all about the movies, but the first movie I watched was called The Truman Show, where it shows Jim Carrey living inside this city, and Ed Harris is this guy who created 24/7 The Truman Show. And I was thinking, wouldn't that be interesting if we were literally like all these cameras hidden everywhere, and yet,
And we were in the what they call why do they call it the Truman Show?
Well, I was explaining that. So basically, the Truman Show is when Truman was a little baby onwards up, they used him as an experiment to let him live in a world that they created. Everyone else was casts and extra, but Truman himself, got an education, went to work, did everything. All his buddies and everything else were casts. So everyone else was going home to the real world. Truman was living in this make-believe world with his make-believe wife and, everything else, and, it was like 24/7, where they talked about, and eventually things started happening. Like one of the camera lights fell down onto the street where his house is. And he's looking at it, trying to figure it out, and he turns on the radio, and they say an airplane dropped something. He's like, oh, okay. And eventually he's putting two together, and every time he tries to do something, like he wants to go to Fiji, his dreams to go to Fiji. And the travel agent says, oh, when do you want to go? And he's got a suitcase. And he goes, right now. And the lady says, oh, there's nothing available for a month. Eventually he gets tired, so he's on this boat, and it's like they made like this big studio, and it's like a big water thing, and he's driving along, and finally he hits a wall, and and then he finds the door, and he leaves to go to the real world, and there's a woman saying, "You need to free Truman." He's not someone that you could keep in your make believe world, and the creator said, "Look, the real world's evil." The real world's evil. I created a world where you can go home, turn it on, and see what he's doing. He might be sitting at home on the phone at work saying, oh, yes, I'm selling insurance, but, people see that. But it's all based on a TV show. It's 24/7. It's pretty entertaining and funny. The second movie is Being John Malkovich, which was the stupidest movie I've ever seen in a long time. Or this guy's married to this girl, and he's a puppeteer. And he tells her how he was John Malkovich for 15 minutes. And he tells his friend decides $200 a pop. And John Malkovich, people can be in for 15 minutes for $200. They're making profit after hours for these little door portals. Well, eventually this girl turns around and tells the other girl making $200, let me be my male side. Let me be the man I'm supposed to be, and she's all for it, and everything happens. They get married and everything else. But eventually the puppeteer takes over for like a year, pregnancy and everything. And finally, at the end of the movie, it was like the stupidest thing in the world. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, and so, it was just dumb. The third movie, Sleeping with the Enemy with Julia Roberts, was really good. I gotta say, I liked it a lot. I remember parts of it when I was in Alaska. My sister watched it all the time. So, it is a very strong movie. I highly recommend it for those people that has the stomach for it. Because frankly, I think It was a really good movie. You know
I've seen it.
what? Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yeah.
Well, what's it about then?
A woman escapes from her abusive husband, who's rich and wealthy, and she falls in love with a man on the countryside.
In Iowa, yeah. For some of you that's been severely abused, think about it. That's a good way to escape. Faking your own death on a boat. You know.
There's another movie where someone fakes their death on a boat, except it's the husband who frames the wife of birds, called Double Jeopardy.
Oh yes, I saw that last night. Someone was recommending that one, and I was like, cool.
Yeah, we're talking with Ashley Judd and Tommy Lee Jones.
That would have been interesting to see too. I did see that one. I was looking at movies for tonight, because that Truman Show. Chloe should see it, but Chloe can take showers, so I don't want to play it.
After I eat, I'll shower, game and shower,
Okay.
and then go to bed. I might watch some movies back there though. Might put in a movie, maybe. I'll have to look for something.
I found some already, people, but still, the thing is, you gotta think about.
I was watching The Green Mile yesterday. It's good.
John Coffey.
Yep, the movie is not. It was kind of had like the Shawshank feel to it, right?
Yeah, Vanny recommended The Shawshank.
Yeah, that's why I kind of said. What about The Green Mile?
John Coffey, Mr. Bojangles.
Yep, the mouse.
So, there's not much I can talk to you guys about right now due to the fact that, I've covered everything I think of. The collapse will come. I mean, literally, I'm glad Fanny gave me the information. She's from a military family background. Her husband's in the Air Force. So, she gets more intel than me, but I get intel through my own connections. And let's just say that the government is not telling you that the oil markets are in red alert, which is not good due to the fact that it means that being in red alert means that you have 72 hours before you can fuel any fuel tanks in the Midwest, southern states, or New England area. So about a quarter to half the U.S. is under red alert. I don't know about the other half yet, but it'll get bad. So, we are running out of diesel. It's just a matter of time. And with the train strike looming, that could really hurt the economy to the point where we can go into a depression. And that is why Fanny is prepping for that particular reason. So that's why she's got a lot of canning videos. So a couple questions I have for Fanny later is, what does she recommend for canning jars? What does she recommend for canning pots? Because I'd like to can some stuff. I mean, literally, I would like to can stuff that I make. I mean, if you're making a bunch of chicken soup, or turkey soup, you might as well can it all up afterwards and seal it up so you have turkey soup on hand in case. That's something I never thought of because I usually eat up all the soup in 3 or 4 days and then it's like done. But this time around, you got to think outside the box.
All right, so canning stuff. I want to learn to can stuff.
See, Fanny was saying you can can pretty much anything, and so to me, yeah, I was telling Chloe the other day. I don't think Chloe gave a shit, but I said, "Did you see this video?" And she said, "No, I didn't." What was it? And I said, Fanny showed everyone how to can Salisbury steaks. If you can can Salisbury steaks, maybe you can can manicottis too. I don't know. Just depends. Maybe that'd be an experiment to ask Fanny.
I would like to can peppers. All sorts of peppers, right?
One of Fanny's specialty videos that she makes periodically, that she actually makes a lot of, is how to make salsa.
Ooh, canned salsa. Oh, I'd love to make that.
So she gets the canning jars, she gets everything, and then she, does whatever, and she throws in, the tomatoes and the bell peppers and the jalapenos.
Salsa like they do on this island, right? Make my own brand, right?
So, you just got to follow her recipes on her channel, and you can find a lot of canned salsas and stuff. So, so that's one thing I would highly recommend if you haven't. So yeah, anywho, I don't know what else to tell you guys because, I'd like to get into canning before it gets too late into the canning thing because, you can can anything, you know. And no, you don't can rabbits. Rabbits are not cannibal. You don't want a cannibal rabbit. Rabbits are too cute, and rabbits are living creatures, and rabbits don't deserve to be canned, people. You want to be canned? You want to be canned?
You want to be canned?
Oh, yeah. See, I got him in my arms. It's funny. I'm the only one who plays with him. Hi. How you doing today? Huh? Little hungry Ebo. That should be a game where you got to feed the little mini rabbits that are always hungry. Hungry Ebo. Instead of hungry hippos, it'd be hungry Ebos. Look how cute he is. And you always want to make sure when you prep to prep for your furry friends too, so they're always taken care of and they get food too in their bellies. I feel kind of bad we're running out of pellets for him. Oh yeah, there we go. Go on in. Your brother's looking at you as a tasting morsel. We'll be right back, people. Okay, peeps. So, anyways, you just gotta take it one day at a time. You gotta make sure you're prepped, you're ready to roll, and yeah, you just gotta make sure everything's good. So, with that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. And think about what I said. I got something I need to check on real quick. Let me see. There we go. So, with that said, everyone, I want to say thanks for watching, everyone. And, for the rest of this video, I want to say my schedule tomorrow, as Chloe knows, as it's already Sunday here, is rest. I'm going to watch video reviews, play games, and definitely I'm not going to be on, unless Zoe asks for me specifically. Hopefully she's going to parties tomorrow again, which means, we'll hear from her Monday or Tuesday, which means I got plenty of leeway to relax and have some time for myself. So, otherwise I got a lot of reviews to finish up, and I'm trying to do it on Sundays. So, whenever. But I also got movie time, game time, and other time. So there you go. Please add, subscribe, post comments, leave feedback, suggestion at the like, subscribe button. So it's fun for your family, including your dogs, your cats, your bunnies, your service dogs, your service bunnies. Thanks for watching, everyone. God bless you and everything. Do hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave the comments nice as all we ask. Keep prepping and prep like your life depends on it. Thank you, and see you later.